everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Border City Rock Talk. You get great news, great interviews, great interviewees with sometimes a comedic touch. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and comment below. Before I get to my mystery guest, take a look at this and see if this rings any bells to y'all. Today, I've got my mystery guest, Frank Zirone. How are you doing, Frank?
Well, I'm feeling rather mysterious today, Ernest. How are you doing?
Not too bad. What were you thinking when you saw that and heard that?
I kind of chuckled because I actually got a chance to see the movie before the song was in it, and I'm thinking back to how the song actually made it into the movie, which was as a story into itself. And I guess I'll start with the idea that when I went to see it at the screening room
Right?
here at MCA Universal in Canada.
Hmm.
They were pitching it to me and saying, we want to put Metal of the Night right here. And it's that scene with the parrot dancing,
Oh yeah, yeah.
bobbing up and down.
That's right.
And then I found out during that time, they had an old Yardbirds song called Heart Full of Soul that they had cut that parrot to.
Oh, okay.
They wanted something contemporary. They wanted something really heavy. So they had been looking for a very long time for something that would actually work in that scene. And they came across Metal of the Night through Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
And it was one of these, it's a rock and roll story. So if you got a minute, I'll tell you.
We've got all the time in the world, Frank.
So I find out afterwards because I was asking both the program director and the A&R person at Universal, how did it all transpire? How did Eddie hear the song? Turns out he was in I guess he's the vice president of A&R in Los Angeles. He was in their office because he was the music director for that movie.
Right.
And he was working specifically with the head of A&R, who also happens to be the head of A&R, not just for music projects, but also for the music in movies.
Oh, okay. Soundtracks.
And they were meeting, and they did not have yet a song. There's that one, and then another spot that got filled by Bananarama in that movie. But they had two open spots that they could not find songs that met the criteria.
Right.
And this is the strangest story because I found this out afterwards from John, who was the A&R guy in Canada. He said Eddie and Richard were meeting in the office, and the phone rang, and it was Eddie's wife Valerie Bertinelli,
Right. Right.
and she got stuck at the hairdresser's.
Okay.
And her car, I don't know, it had a mechanical problem or something. So Eddie asked to borrow Richard's car to go pick Valerie up. And Richard had just been listening to all these demos,
Right.
and my
Right.
my demo was plugged into his cassette player in his car, ready to go for the drive home, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as he turned the car on, this song started playing. This is 1984,
Yeah.
and they just started with these car cell phones, the ones that took the whole console of the car.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It had a coily cord, and the
It,
no, and you
it looked
punch
like a
through,
brick.
yeah, something like the brick, but way bigger than that, right? This is the year when, anyway. So Eddie calls him on his own phone and says, "We found our song. This is your guys. Sign him up." I was signed up 2 days later. Um, just I guess about $1 million deal was secured in 2 days. After
Wow.
a lot of deliberation for a month, we were going back and forth with all these record companies, and just
Wow.
the whole thing got signed, sealed, and delivered. So that's a rock and roll story
That's an
because
amazing story. So was it on a TDK or a Maxwell? Remember those?
I always sent out my stuff in Maxell. I always used
Oh, Maxwell. Yeah, no, well, L, yeah.
Maxell because they used a special oxide coating that would last for 1,000 years. You're welcome, Maxell.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Should get some royalties for this.
Yeah.
Now, that movie, I thought that for years, I've always remembered that song for some reason. And I Googled it or YouTubed it about 6 or 7 years ago when I started Hanover Fist. And then I remember the band name. I'm thinking German for some reason. I mean, I just didn't catch wind of it. And so I always thought it was Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And then I found the connection the other day. It was one of those coming of age movies. And then when I Googled it just recently after I found out, contacted with you, I thought, now, what movie was this in? Because I love the song. I was going to interview you just about the song, but then it was The Wild Boys was a kind of a sequel. It was kind of that thing, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's where it was. I lost track of The Wild Boys. So
Yeah.
Leah Thompson, Christopher Penn, Eric Stoltz. Did you get a chance to interact with any of those? You're
No,
obviously
I
part
did
of it,
not.
but
They were already on the cutting room floor by the time my song went into the movie. I did get a
okay.
brief interaction with Eddie, who thanked me for the song,
Oh,
and
you did meet Ed.
yeah, yeah, briefly, and yeah, I mean, that was a handshake and a thank you, and a thank you
Wow.
back from me, and but yeah, really nice people. Back then, it was a different kind of a community back
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
But yeah, and then I think the that whole thing with being in a Hollywood movie, I know that MCA Universal was actually targeting that specific movie as a sequel to Fast Times at Ridgemont High. The wildlife was well, again, it was a big money project,
Yeah.
but it was Eddie's chance to get away from, playing. I think he was in between singers at the time.
Oh, is that right? Okay, that's when that happened.
So he had some time on his hands, wasn't touring,
Mhm.
and so and he's got some tracks in there of his own,
Well,
which
that's what I was gonna bring up. Yeah, there's this one mystery track. It's actually a rare Van Halen instrumental. It appears in
yeah,
the movie. It's called Donut City. I'll play a clip for the viewers a
sure,
little bit later. But
sure.
how did Hanover Fist get its name? And then it was changed to Hanover. And then how did that deal change your life? I mean,
Okay, so here's the story behind the Hanover Fist name.
yeah,
When we started recording the album, the very first night I was driving home and I had the bass player Chris Brockway in my car with me, and we were on the Don Valley Parkway. I don't know if you know
yeah, I
Toronto,
know the Don Valley.
the Don Valley Parkway, which was I mean it was 1 o'clock in the morning, so it was totally clear.
Yeah.
And we were rear-ended
Oh,
car. I had a Volkswagen Beetle, and
okay.
I was rear-ended so hard that they pushed the engine of the car, right into the back seat.
Oh yeah, because Volkswagens have the engine in the back. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, aside of the injuries that I sustained for that, about 8 months later, it went to trial,
Mm-hmm.
and I had Chris with me, and we're sitting out in the waiting room, to go into the courtroom, and Chris and I are, I still didn't have a name for the band. And we used to watch this movie called Heavy Metal, and we were joking
Yeah,
around
yeah.
about metal, and this, the light bulb went off, and I said, that scene where the guy's in the courtroom and he changes from a timid guy into a beast, like this really strong beast, in this movie called Heavy Metal, and I couldn't remember his name, and I said, you know what? Whatever that guy's name is, that's going to be the name of the band. I went home, I plugged in my beta cassette into
Yeah.
my Betamax, and it was Hanover Fist. Hanover Fist was the name of the guy in the
Character in heavy metal.
yeah. So
Wow.
we went with that.
Wow. And
No.
I mean, and then so I was thinking, is there a Hanover, Ontario or something? So Hanover Fist, that's how it came. And so when
Mhm.
you got this gig, I mean, how many demos did you guys send out and to how many labels approximately? It was back then it was like you had to mail it, right?
Well, okay, so yeah, definitely it was a lot of it was in person.
Okay.
What happened was I had been approached. I had an album deal with Anthem Records,
Right.
Rush's label.
Yeah.
And I had done one and a half albums on that label, released about four singles. I had a band called Zirone at the
Right,
time.
right.
And as I was segueing out of that, I was getting myself into a heavy metal project because I found that pop music really wasn't doing very well at concerts. And I really wanted to get back to my roots, which were kind of like Led Zeppelin,
Yeah,
Deep,
yeah.
that sort of stuff. So um, let me try and stay on track here.
It's okay.
What ended up happening was um, I got a phone call from the producer of a band called Sheriff,
Right,
and,
yeah, yeah.
and
Can
he'd
hear.
also done Teenage Head.
Yeah,
His name's Stacy Hayden.
right.
Uh, and Hey, Stacy, if you're watching this. And anyway, he called me, and he called me once, and I said, no, I'm sorry, I've already got a deal. And he says, no, but we got a production company, and we really like to produce your next record. Right.
Right.
And I kept turning him down and turning him. Finally, at one point, I said, yeah, okay. And so I took the songs in for a meeting with him, and the company man that was John was the money guy. There's always a money guy in all of
Yeah.
this. Executive producer, they'd call him in movies, and they offered me a great deal to produce a really good album the way I wanted to produce it. And so we actually did the entire album from soup to nuts, like starting from the demos, which we did ourselves, and then we started recording it in Toronto. We finished recording and mixing it in England at Eel Pie Studios, which is Pete Townsend's
Wow.
studio in Surrey. So
Hmm.
we had this full package. We'd spent a lot of money on it. Um, and we started approaching record companies. And the first, I mean, we did a couple of trial runs in England, and we approached a couple of companies in England. They were interested, but they really didn't have any money. And we approached some Canadian companies,
They
same
didn't have any money.
thing. They didn't have any money, same thing. But John Alexander at MCA in Canada, he actually called me up and said, I don't have, we don't have the money here in Canada. I'm gonna send this down the demo, which was on one of these,
Wow.
and and that's how it ended up in Richard Palamese's closing the loop on that story. So
Wow.
I'm sending it down to Richard, and I'll ask him and so I said, John, you're going to have to hurry because we got offers in from A&M, we got offers in from Capital, and I know they want these guys want to close on the deal.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that all happened, and that went down by Perlator, I believe, and you could still get overnight FedEx
Oh,
and
wow. Okay.
then. So, yeah, the whole thing was signed, sealed, and delivered, like I said, in about 3 days, which is still a record for me.
Well, was that deal signed before Eddie heard Middle of the Night, or was the
No,
deal?
that deal was signed because Eddie heard Middle of the Night.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
Eddie, and then they called you within a couple of days, and then
yeah.
that deal. Wow.
Because that, like I said, John called Richard and said, Richard, these guys are getting offers right now. If you want to close a deal on this, got to do it right away. That's why Richard had the cassette
In
in his.
his tape deck, and then Eddie sat in the car and said,
Yeah,
"Go."
yeah.
Wow.
So it's
That's
crazy.
amazing. Like
Like
working
that's
with the Americans in anything, like I mean, they know how to market and stuff. Royalties, like that song, I think I hear I've heard it a few times over the years. Are you getting royalties still, or is it like this is your deal?
um, whenever the movie gets played,
Yeah,
that certainly it was on pretty heavy rotation around the world. So for
yeah.
about a year, I got my songwriting royalties in from the collection, rights collection groups.
I
Yeah,
just thought it was one of the best rock anthems, and I was thinking about this during a walk the other day. There's probably
thank
2,000 great rock anthems. They kind of have the standard beat, but I mean, what stood out in that song was your voice and your singing. Just amazing.
Well, I was young.
Yeah.
I actually did try to see if I could revive that because I had some offers to do a tour in Indonesia and points beyond, and so I thought, okay, you know what? Before I say no, I'm going
Mhm.
to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Uh, but 20 years later, really did make a difference. I can understand why some singers just won't do it anymore. Uh,
Yeah, it'd be hard to duplicate or whatever. So Indonesia, like the rock mecca of the East?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Really?
like I still get fan mail from Australia,
Yeah.
Indonesia, some from Japan, some strange points, Czechoslovakia, like really diverse, and a lot from England, of course. Uh,
Yeah.
The album, um, the album was the top selling import when it was released initially. It was the top selling import in England for a month.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it was.
amazing. Like we're over here in the West, I think a lot of people in the West are ignorant. I could
Mm.
be included in that category. We don't realize on the other side of the planet that life goes on, carries on. They live. Well, I mean, it's just amazing how people think like me, like Indonesia. But no, I've traveled, and there's so much. I don't know where I'm going with this, Frank. I'm gonna be quite
Well,
honest.
it's an eye opener for sure. It's an eye opener, and metal is everywhere.
Oh
It's
yeah,
still everywhere. Surprisingly enough, I mean, there's a market for it in the U.S. and some
yeah.
of that, there's a lot of that was suppressed. We had a big problem. We ended up having to change the name from Hanover Fest to Hanover because there was a big problem at that time with the Washington Wives. Tipper Gore.
Oh
uh,
yeah. Oh, wait.
Yeah, and the whole thing with subliminal messages and all this stuff being put,
Backwards. Yeah.
yeah, backwards, all that stuff. I mean, I was unlucky enough to be stuck in the middle of all of that, and
Well, free
it
publicity is good publicity, right?
well, what I always said is the more you take something away from people, the more people are going to want it.
Yeah.
That's the kids want it more if you take it away from them.
Yeah.
Uh, but certain management and the record company, they were very sensitive to politics. So you know that's why.
back then, if they were
Stay away
censoring,
from politics, kids.
oh my God. Well, I interviewed D and he talked about going in
Yeah,
front of the committee and
yeah.
all that Tipper Gore nonsense. Like Tipper, if you're watching, I'm sorry if you're not, but um yeah, back then everything was light, like Hanover fist, like unless you have really good imagination. I mean, these days what they're getting away with, like I'm offended by stuff.
Yeah, yeah, no, no kidding. It's not. I mean, it's political talking points
Yeah,
have always been, from the sublime to the ridiculous, and so
yeah,
that
yeah.
we don't need to get into all of that. But the reality is that it's always been there. Politics has always been there. All probably always will be there, and it is a world into itself.
Ever
And
smell the glove Spinal Tap?
oh, I loved
Oh,
it.
well, she
Well,
was sniffing it, but you have her on dog collar and chains. It's sexist. What's wrong with being sexy? No sexist, Nigel.
well, I've got a Spinal Tap story for you
Tell
if you
me.
want. You want to hear
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, so we're on tour and we're opening for Saxon.
yeah, yeah.
And I think we were out there for about 3 months,
Mm,
just day after day after day working together. And on our bus, we had a video that was given to me called Spinal Tap. I
yeah,
plugged it in and I'm looking at this thing. And we'd already been on tour for about a month and a half, right?
yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself the whole time I'm looking at this thing. It's Rob Reiner's thing. Uh,
Rest
uh,
in peace, by the way, Rob.
yeah, rest in peace, exactly. And the whole time I'm looking at it with the names Nigel and I'm thinking to myself, man, these guys they must be psychic because this is exactly like a model of Saxon, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm outside the bus one day, and Biff is walking by, and I says, "Hey, Biff," he goes, "You should come on in the bus and check out this video I've got." And he says, "Yeah, what video? I think you'd like it, right? Have a good laugh." He says, "What's the name of the video?" I said, "Spinal Tap." He says, "Fuck off," and walks away, right?
What?
Yeah, yeah. So he says that to me. So I asked the guitar player, I said, Biff's in a bit of a tizzy, right? He says, "Oh, what happened?" And I explained what happened. He says, "Oh, yeah, Rob Reiner spent 2 weeks with us on the road, and he told
Oh,
us he was making a movie.
yeah.
We thought it was going to be
Oh,
like
that's
about us, and it turns out that it is about us, but not the way that we wanted it. Like they
yeah.
wanted it, like they thought it was going to be a documentary type of thing, or you know,
It turned out to be
elevating.
more of a Borat kind of a documentary.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, that's my Spinal Tap story, and it was an amazing time. Those years were pretty amazing for music all around.
Yeah,
The idea that it was so prevalent that it became part of the modern culture. I mean, metal is still out there, but it's
yeah.
not necessarily a prevalent part of the modern culture.
Yeah,
It's
AI is. I mean, you don't even have to play an instrument to put out an album. I mean,
right,
you-
right, right.
before I forget, everybody check down below. I did interview Harry Shearer. So check that out via The Simpsons. I talked about that. We talked about Spinal Tap. And I'll put a link down to my interview with Dee Snider. Now, I wanted to kind of transition into what you're doing now. You're doing, I was going to call it onesies. It's not onesies, it's
Yeah, no,
ones.
it's one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
talk about once and the Beatles. And my first question, I'm trying to get my cat out of here. Come on, dog. Um, how did you transition from playing hard rock like Metal of the Night to doing your show and your production with Beatles music and sound?
Well, there's a lot of years in between, so the transition wasn't exactly like hitting a brick wall or anything like
Right.
that. It was um I had retired from the music business after Hanover Fist. I retired for a good 15, almost 20 years. And I found myself after I retired from the real world of working, because I'd done everything from working in studios, producing other people, working. I've got credentials as I have a degree in architecture
Oh,
from
wow.
when I was young, and I used some of that to because it was tough getting work. So,
Okay.
but when I retired from that world, the first thing I said to myself is I want to get back in the music business.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, there's no music business anymore. I mean, certainly
Right.
not a music business like what I had left behind.
Yeah, you can't make money off of making an album. You have to tour now.
Right. So the idea really was is I was looking for a topic for presentation, and I finally settled in on, they say you go home with the girl that you took to the dance.
Right? Yeah.
Beatles is where I came in.
Okay.
The Beatles is, 1964. I was 10 years old. I was right in front of the television set,
Yeah.
and I saw them, and they pretty much made it. They carved the road for me. They were my inspiration for moving forward. So I thought I would do a tribute to the Beatles, but I didn't want to do like the wigs and suits type of tribute.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. There's a lot of things I have in my head about how that works, because it's kind of like when you want to respect somebody,
Hmm.
you don't necessarily dress like them and go to their house, right?
Right,
But
right.
what I respected the most about the Beatles and the way they, I mean, after the initial 2 years of being like a Beatles fan because of their image and their personalities and stuff, because they were in movies and everything.
Hmm.
But after that, it was the music, and it was always the music after that, where Sergeant Pepper, Magical Mystery Tour, Abbey Road, those, as I was solidly in the music business at that point in time.
Hmm.
I was touring with a band at that point in time, and they were a huge influence on me. So I wanted to do a Beatles presentation, but I didn't want to wear, the outfits or speak in a phony British or Liverpoolian accent or anything
Right.
like that. And but it fell on me one day. I was on vacation. Uh, we were in Punta Cana, the
Oh, right
Dominican,
on. Yep.
and I was sitting under one of these canopy umbrellas, and I was reading on my iPad Rolling Stone, and one of the articles in Rolling Stone was telling me about the album One, the Beatles, the Capitol released the album One, which is all the number one hits, was had been out
Okay.
for about 5 years. It was still selling 15,000 copies a week.
Wow.
I didn't think about that, but then I go for a walk down the beach, and I'm going, now what do I want to do my Beatles show about?
Right.
Then
Yeah.
I had that eureka moment, and I went, hold it a second. The number one hits. People
Yeah.
love the number one hits. I love the number one hits. What really struck me about putting that show together as I was putting it together, because I do it as a chronology,
Right. Okay.
and I have a narrator on the screen. That's how I wanted to make my presentation. Um, and as you're going through the images on the screen, the narration telling you the stories, and you're hearing the music, you're actually being, like that nostalgia button, you
Hmm.
know, is going off sometimes like constantly.
Yeah.
And people in the audience, aside of the fact that they're singing along, I mean, I've seen people out there crying because it touches that nerve of their youth and a time that they'll never get back. And so I,
Nostalgia.
I looked at that whole thing as being, yeah, this is where I came in,
Yeah.
and I remembered those years, and I wrote the show based on how I knew my experiences. But I mean, obviously, I did my research and learned what songs were number one in Canada as
Yeah.
well
Hmm.
as what was number one in the U.S. and number one in Britain. That's where it differs from the one album.
Right.
It's the selection of music is kind of influenced by how I heard the songs like Nowhere Man. They were never a hit anywhere else, but it went to number one in Canada.
Right.
Stuff like that. Because I had a very nostalgic experience of Nowhere Man hitting me, somewhere around 1965, 66.
Hmm.
So yeah, how did I get into that? I wanted to put a show together that didn't have any backing tracks, uh,
Perfect.
that
Rare to see
didn't
those
have.
these days.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the whole idea really was is if I'm going to put myself back up on stage, I wanted to put something together that was not only nostalgic in the music, but also goes back to a time when things were done differently, like presentations were made with good
Raw.
lighting and good sound, and
Yeah.
everything was a real presentation, a real
And
concert presentation.
honest.
Yeah, yeah, and you could hear, to do that, unfortunately, I have to have 22 people on stage, and when I say
I
unfortunately,
was going to say, yeah,
not
you've
for the
got,
audience, but for the paychecks.
yeah, I mean, you've got, you said 20 some people, you've got violinists, you've got
Yeah,
piano. It's a theatrical production. Is that a
yeah,
good way to describe it?
yeah. I would say it's more like a Broadway
Oh,
style
yeah, yeah.
production. Yeah, it's it really does take, because when I was putting the stuff together, I really wanted to make a representation that actually did sound like the albums.
Mhm.
Uh, my experience in the studio, plus any research that most people can do these days, you discover that there's a lot of overdubs in Beatles music.
Okay.
Sometimes there's five or six voices. You can't do that with a four-piece band, right?
Pretty
And
hard.
so, yeah, and you can't, unless you're willing to bring in tapes and stuff, you can't bring in an orchestra. So
Right.
I mean, I wanted to have a live string section, a live horn section. In some cases, we just did a show just about 10 months ago in Palm Desert with the
Okay.
Desert Symphony Orchestra. LA players, a 65-piece orchestra.
Wow.
And we did stuff with that had harp in it, and it was brilliant. I mean, it's inspiring for some of the new shows that I'm writing right now,
Yeah.
as I am putting together another Beatles production.
So
And
with a set list, don't mean to interject here. Oh, I do mean to
Yeah,
interject. Don't
go
mean to
for it.
interrupt. So you do some Canadian songs in the set list as well, I understand?
Canadian hits,
Hits, yeah.
Canadian Canadian
Oh,
number one hits
oh,
for
Beatles Canadian number one
yeah,
hits.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's okay. I read that wrong. And so I'm just curious. The Beatles had a pretty good run. I mean, so they have a lot of
Yeah.
number one hits. So is the show about 6 or 7 hours, if I'm right?
No, no, the show they had. I used 27 number one hits. There was
That's like
probably
three full albums, two full
yeah,
albums back
exactly
then.
back
Yeah.
then. Yeah. There's probably 31 number one hits that are worthy of it. I can't fit them all in. The way this show works is that we use a 23 number one hits, go through the albums in a chronological way,
Right.
and at the end, the last four songs of the night are a number one hit from each of the Beatles as solo artists.
Oh, right on. What do you
So
do
we
for Paul
do.
McCartney? I was a big fan. Band on the Run.
Nope, no.
Jet.
His first number one hit was Silly Love Songs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Now, a lot of people go, oh, what a very fruity song, blah, blah, blah. You got to hear this song when you've got a full orchestra
Oh yeah. I
because
know. I love the song as well.
it's amazing with a full orchestra. Yeah, it's
So you said the last four songs, like, wasn't there that fifth Beatle? Remember Eddie Murphy, Clarence? Remember that guy? Did you ever see that SNL skit?
yeah, yeah,
With the fifth Beatle,
yeah.
Clarence doing the horns. It was like, hey Jude, man.
You're a funny guy.
Right.
No, one from each of them, and because there was a lot of number ones from each of them, it was hard to decide. I mean, I wanted to think about Band on the Run and stuff, but
Yeah.
the reality was because of the chronology, I went to the first songs that they had that made to number one. For John, it was Imagine.
Oh
For
yeah.
George, it's My Sweet Lord. And My Sweet Lord is a real. Now, there's a song. We opened that songs with six guitar players.
Wow.
So that's kind of the crazy thing when you see six guitar players on stage starting off that song.
Yeah.
Um, and and Ringo's was oh gosh, what was Ringo's? Yeah, I'll
Oh,
remember. I've done the show too much. Yeah, and Paul was Silly Love Songs. Yeah, so that's that show. That part of the show again is just it's an encore for us. We're going to be in Toronto doing Mirvish
right.
for 6 nights.
Right.
Um, 8 shows in 6 days coming up in
Wow.
July. And so we're refining a lot of the show into that Broadway style, hopefully into that Broadway style type of production.
Don't
Uh,
come easy.
no,
No,
10 years.
no. Isn't that the Ringo Starr hit?
No, no.
Oh, I Googled it. I guess I
It's
was wrong.
Photograph. Photograph was his first hit.
Oh, good. We got it then.
Yeah.
Done.
But It Don't Come Easy is a great song, but Photograph was his first hit. Yeah.
Okay.
First number one. Yeah, I mean, just to as an aside from the Hanover Fist stuff, I did want to mention some names because there's some people
Yeah.
that we toured with, and there's some people that we did the album with, and not a lot of them were the same. George Bernhardt on guitar, he did all the guitar work or most of the guitar work on the album,
Who
and
else
he
did
also
he work with? I thought he worked with someone else like back in the day. Like was it Lee
well
Aaron or I
Lee
don't know.
Aaron, yeah, yeah, he was
Okay.
He was with Lee Aaron just before he joined up.
Okay, that's right.
He was also out with oh Jesse's girl. Who's that
Rick
guy?
Springfield.
Bruce not
Rick.
Rick
He's
Spring.
actually going to be on tour with Sammy Hagar
Right.
this summer.
Well,
I believe before. Sorry, go ahead.
George was Rick Springfield's guitar player for 15 years.
Wow, wow.
Just retired recently, and he lives in Nashville now.
I'll
Um,
do. John Albany. You know John?
yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah, he's
John.
up in Nashville.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of people that moved to Nashville, and they're stuck there. You
Yeah,
know, they're afraid to leave now. That's for
yeah, yeah,
sure.
for sure.
You might not get back.
Stay in your
Um,
own neighborhood and just keep you down.
Dave Applin played guitar
Right?
on that stuff, and he came from some fairly decent roots from up in Ottawa. And Chris Brockway, who also played with Rabbit up in Ottawa. Chris
Right?
Brockway had just an amazing career that I found out later. I mean, he came from a band from Newfoundland called Pepper Tree. They came to Toronto to open for. We're an American band.
Oh, the Guess Who?
No, no, not the Guess Who. Huge band. Anyway, they're a big American band. Sorry,
Oh,
I don't have
wow.
my phone with me. I'd
I
check
can
it.
Google it. So the songs
Yeah.
were an American band?
We're on yeah. Sorry, the
Oh, Grand Funk Railroad.
Grand Funk Railroad at Maple Leaf Gardens. Pepper Tree opens for Grand Funk Railroad at Maple Leaf Gardens, and then he left that, and I think he was with Cinema Face for a while.
Okay.
Uh, just basically, and he actually after he did the recording, he went off and worked with Lee Aaron as well.
Hmm.
Uh, Drummer Kim Hunt.
Okay. Nice.
And Kim's, recently he's been playing with Moxie, but
Oh, wow.
I think he's more retired these days. But
Yeah.
what a great drummer, fabulous drummer. He's the one in the video that's drumming in the video.
Yeah.
In that Hanover Fist video,
Yeah.
um, we
Well, I'll
can
put
have
links below for everybody of my American subscribers that know the
cool,
song but don't know the history. I'll put the links below for sure.
cool, cool. Yeah, there's what else? I mean, on that video, um, Gary Lalonde is the bass player in that video because we couldn't get a bass player to come in. One of the bass players that had recorded on the album, including Chris Brockway, he was
Yeah.
over touring, so he couldn't come in for the video. So Gary, he's from Honeymoon Suite.
Hmm.
And Gary decided to fill in, and he's the bass player. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and it's just crazy.
Stories.
I should have had my notes in front of me because
I
trying to
know.
remember all of this stuff now. That video was filmed at Fillmore's in Toronto, which is a strip joint, which they're just closing down now,
Oh,
and
wow.
we're gonna build a 25 story or 50-story tower there on Dundas, and
Oh.
it just got a lot of because it was the premiere. I think it was the first real strip joint ever in Toronto.
Was it?
Anyway,
I went to college in Humber. Wasn't Zanzibar a name of one?
Zanzibar was on Yonge Street.
That's right. Okay, I remember. I
Yeah,
heard of it.
yeah. Well, there's the Victory Burlesque on Spadina,
Oh yeah.
but that was burlesque rather than honest to goodness hardcore stripping. Actually, most of the girls in that video were strippers. A lot of them were.
Yeah, I saw that in the casting notes when I
Yeah,
was looking it over.
yeah, yeah.
Stripper one, her name. Stripper two, her name.
And we made that video. We made that video before we had the album deal, to tell you the truth. So again, we paid for that video. It was big money back then to shoot in 35 millimeter.
Oh
Really?
yeah.
I mean, you think of what it costs to make an album and a video these days. I
Use your
mean,
cell phone for the video. It's got better
yeah,
video.
exactly, exactly. These days is yeah. I mean, I don't know how to explain these days what it's like to just you know get things done. So making decisions so quickly, getting things done so quickly because you were basically tied into, from a money standpoint, unless you had an endless well of
Yeah.
money, you were
Yeah.
tied into your decisions as they came in, right?
Yeah.
So it was a different time. So it was very, I guess if I was younger or if I was older, I'd say it was nerve-wracking, but at that age, it didn't really much matter because it was kind of exciting
Yeah. You're like piss and vinegar back then. You don't get any sleep. Who cares? I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Well, that's right. That's right. You could go. Now I don't get sleep, but for different reasons.
Yeah. You're writing checks.
Yeah, well, no, that's not why. It's just, being
Yeah.
age these days,
Yeah.
it's hard
So
to sleep.
so with ones, I see you're doing some shows in the new year. Where can people go and check out what's going on with Frank?
Okay,
Facebook
well,
page,
in Canada this year,
anywhere.
if you're in Canada, we did not get our US dates in time, so we're not going to be in 2026. We won't be in the US. We will be in the US in 2027. Those dates are currently being assembled. But in
Okay.
Canada in 2026, in April, you can see us at the Windspear in Edmonton or the Jack Singer in Calgary.
Okay.
Or in Halifax, we'll be at um, mm, the Rebecca Cohn.
Okay.
And in Moncton, we will be at the Moncton Casino, the New Brunswick Casino, which is a really lovely venue. And then in Toronto, we'll be playing those 8 dates at Mirvish.
Ed Mervish Saver, yeah.
And there's a couple of others that I can't put them on the table because they haven't been secured from a contract standpoint. But
Right.
I'm doing a lot of the I'm doing a lot of the promoting.
Yeah.
I'm working a lot in the office these days, and I know it's not very glamorous for a guy that's, I've been in the show for the last 10 years and now I'm segueing out and I'm getting, new players to come in
Right.
and take over
Yeah.
because I mean I hadn't expected that the show would last 10 years and
Yeah.
we haven't even come into our stride yet. It's just like holy smokes, it's still going like
Yeah,
crazy.
well, there's a demand for it and your talent for sure. So
Yeah.
I'll put links down below and people can check out the tours coming up and check out what you're doing. I've got a couple cliche questions. Obviously, this one, what's the opposite of unsubscribe?
What's the opposite of unsubscribe? Subscribe.
Do as Frank, Zirone, Verona, Chichi, if you're Canadian, Italian says, and subscribe to the channel. And right now, we've got some. I usually ask favorite Canadian band or artist. I'm not going to ask that one today. But I'm going to say right now, you got Rush going back on tour. The Guess Who? Triumph is starting their tour with April Wine here in Sault Ste. Marie. I got to find out if it was because of Sudbury Arena not being built yet. But thoughts on those two? Those
Well, okay.
get together.
I love Rush. Obviously, I was signed to their label.
Yeah,
Uh, I've
Anthem.
I've met all those guys. That we yeah, and in fact, I wrote another show, and it has been performing in Ontario for the last year and a half. It's called Radio Rush, the moving picture story. It's based on the Ones format, where
Okay,
there's
yeah,
a narrator, Rick Ringer from Chum, who actually did the initial interview with Getty and Alex for the Moving Pictures album
okay.
the day before it was released. He got the exclusive on Chum FM. So yeah,
Hmm.
he came by it honestly. So he does the narration for that show, and yeah, it's um that show's been really going crazy, and I obviously I'm pretty happy about Rush being back out on the road. I thought they that I knew that at one point in time why they didn't go
Well, yeah, for sure.
because that wasn't just a band.
You lose your brother. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That wasn't a band. It was a family,
Hmm.
and it still is for the most part. And you know, after that many years, I think they deserve to get back out there. And I think their audience is really, you know,
Yeah.
they they really deserve to hear them. Triumph, yeah, they're great. I mean, I've been out with Triumph before myself, so they're always fun. Who else is on the road?
Well, I heard the Guess Who with Bachman and
Oh, right.
Cummings.
Yeah, yeah. That'll be fun. I got to see that myself because the guys in Carpet Frogs are really good friends of mine, and they're Burton's backup band. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think uh, I think we're still in a golden age as
Yeah.
long as people can go out there and still give. And Burton's doing an amazing job of singing. I can't
Hmm.
believe. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of old timers that should still be given their dues
Yeah.
because
And
if you like that music, you gotta love to see them live. Yeah.
yeah, 2026 is looking really good for live performances here. Like I said, I'm just juiced for the April 2 show with April Wine and Triumph. I will be interviewing Gil coming up, so everybody stay tuned and subscribe. I'd like to thank my guest Frank, who just brought me down memory lane with Medal of the Night. And when I sent
Thank
you
you,
through,
Aaron.
you're like, I remember this song, and I'm like, that's the guy. Must be the right Frank Zirone.
Thanks for having me, Ernest. This has been it's been a thrill.
Absolutely. Thanks, Frank.